Alright, so I got done with the Shamrock Shuffle 5K and the 1 mile down in Harmony. 5K, I switched my clothes out, finally got warm a little bit. Then I stepped outside, instantly froze again. Wore long sleeve compression type pants. Put on some new compression boxers with some shorts over top. Put a long sleeve shirt on with my sauna suit cutting weight hoodie over top. Visor beanie, gator, keep me warm. Switched out my Blake mitts. I took out, got my thicker ones since I got the other ones all sweaty during the half marathon, the lighter ones. So standing around for a couple minutes because the race got delayed a little bit just to clear people off the course and traffic and whatnot. I started freezing and shivering. Again, almost instantly as I got out of the vehicle after sitting in it for a while. I sat in the vehicle, I didn't even get to cool down or stretch it out after the race because I was just so cold. Wanted to change clothes, and then here I got a stupid ass warning about my credit card. Somebody tried to use my damn credit card, so I was on the phone, so I didn't get to properly prepare and de-race after my first race, the half marathon, which kind of pissed me off a little bit, but whatever. So when I get to the start line, we had a couple minutes to wait for people. Tried to stretch it out a little bit. I felt it in my calf, the left calf a little bit. It felt tight, almost like there was a knot in it. Did the old stand on a stair and did some lifting my ankle and stuff up just to try to stretch it out a little bit. It had to be from that damn downhill in the half marathon. I'm telling you, I just didn't feel comfortable when I was running down it. I don't know if I hit a pothole wrong during the course before then or what, or just how the road was contoured. Something was up. So I tried to stretch it out, even massaged it with my hand a little bit because I didn't bring a massager and I didn't have time to get back to the vehicle at that point. But I knew there was a bunch of high school track stars, cross-country kids there, so my expectations were kind of low. Just wanted to finish, not to burn up as much energy, and maybe shoot for the 1 mile instead of the 5K, because there was no way I was going to compete with those kids running 16-minute miles or whatever they could run after running a half marathon. Even on a good day, they still would have got me by a lot. So we started out relatively fast. I think the first mile was like 5.5 range, 5:45. Definitely way faster than I wanted to go. So I don't know what was up with that. I guess I felt good early on, but again, that's until the body warmed up and caught up to me. Then I slowed down a little bit. Probably passed 4 or 5 people in that first mile. Then after that, I just hung on. I was 6th overall. Finished 19:02 range. I think that's what the results said. I didn't really get to look too much at them yet. Wait till I get home. But that's still not bad after running a half marathon with like 1,300 feet of gain. And in the cold conditions, I'll take that any day. Plus where I was at position-wise, I really didn't have an opportunity to move up at all. They were all fresh and they looked good. So why waste all that energy and move up a place or two when I still wasn't going to be top 3? So I did sort of hang back a little bit, conserve some energy, whatever you want to call it. Because at that point I was like, well, all right, we're just going to turn and burn for the mile, see what we can do for the mile, maybe push it, try to take that instead of worrying about the 5K, which again, it was out of my hands. But on the way out, after the first mile and up to that hill about a mile away until we turn around at whatever, like a mile and a half. I didn't look at my watch exactly where the turn is. It is a little bit of a leg burner, and I was feeling it. Lungs were feeling it. I was getting overheated, overdressed a little bit too much. for the pace I was going at the time. The wind wasn't blowing, so it didn't make me as cold, and since I had dry clothes on, I wasn't sweaty yet, so I overheated a little bit. But I pushed through, had a nice gap from the next person behind me. I think it was a couple high school girls or something like that. It might have been a guy, I can't remember. I remember seeing long hair flapping around. I have to look at the results to see who actually did finish behind me. That doesn't mean somebody didn't move up or fall back, whatever. Came back into town, that last little loop, was filling it a little bit. Probably had 15, maybe 20. I want to say it was a 15-minute window between the 5K finish and the mile. So I went back to the car, started it up, threw the heat on for a couple minutes. I left the same pants and shoes on. I was wearing my Endorphin Pros for the 5K and the mile. Figured I wanted to go for speed, and the roads were actually clear at that point, just a little bit wet. So I wanted the traction. Well, I didn't need the traction, to be honest. But I mean, I wanted the traction that the Endorphin Pros give for the speed. I wanted that. But I did feel, my feet felt a little bit off. They felt knotty or like bulgy or something with them. I don't know if it was a shoe or the thick sock that I was wearing, because I usually don't wear really thick socks when I'm wearing the Endorphin Pros. So that might have been them. Not really sure. I'd have to look into it more. Maybe it's just my feet being tired and my legs being tired. They just didn't feel right in the shoe when they normally do. I ran into them probably like a dozen times or 20 times now, no issue. So it had to be the sock or just the way my feet feel. So the bottom half, I kept the same. I just switched shirts to a thick, long sleeve shirt. Took the sauna suit off, but kept the visor beanie, the gaiter. Switched gloves again, just to a normal light winter glove, because the game plan was to turn and burn for the 5K, just to push myself to see what I could do on tired legs. Sort of like one of those speed workouts, but again, it's just like a test to test myself. Wasn't really sure what I was going to be capable of. Cold got my throat a little bit dry. I didn't really eat yet either. It's been, well, it's 1 o'clock now. I haven't really eaten since 5 o'clock. I just had half a Nugo bar and a little bit of a pretzel and a Fit Aid drink and a little bit of water. So I'm probably dehydrated too a little bit. So anyway, we get to the start for the mile. There's a bunch of little kids around. Got in front of them a little bit. I don't know if they were too happy. A couple kids didn't look like they were happy with that, but whatever. Because you know they're going to fade anyhow, so I didn't mind. They did leave me an opportunity on the one corner, because when I first got up to the front, I was on the opposite side of the road where we were going to be running on. We were basically going to be running on one side of the road down to these cones, and then make a U-turn and come back and then do like the last half mile of the half marathon and the 5K course. But they gave me an opportunity probably about a minute or two before the race started on the good side, so I went over, took it. As soon as the race started, I just bolted, busted my ass out the start line. Because again, the plan was to turn and burn, see what I could do. Wanted to go for under 6 minutes. Didn't know if I could really muster the energy or the legs to do it, but the goal was anything under 6. I figured, hell, if I could do like a low 5, do like a 5:10, 5:15, I would really consider that spectacular. So we get around the cones, come back. I had a huge gap on the field. I just saw a bunch of young kids still trying to hustle their asses off. I think it got to me mentally, because at that point I was just like, you want to push, waste all the energy, maybe blow up, or do you just want to pull back a little bit. So I was kind of in that zone in between for the most part, well, the second half of the race. Probably about 8/10 into the mile, I looked down at my watch and I was like, well, I have the opportunity to get under 6. So I tried to kick it in a little bit, but by that time, there's a little bit of a hill. That hill got me a little bit, because I was cutting the tangents pretty good. I felt pretty good. I think when I crossed the finish line, I was actually at a mile, like dead on. Maybe like the second mat is when it beeped. So by the time GPS synced up, it would have been exactly a mile. But I was cutting the tangents pretty good. Came in at 5:42, I believe it was. So I'll take that. Took first place in the mile, and I consider that a win. Not just because I won the mile, but being able to do what I did after running 16. I think it was probably close to 17. I have to look at my watch. I know it was supposed to be a half marathon, but I know it was a little bit longer. So with a 5K and a half, that's like 16 and a half miles already on my legs racing. So I'll definitely take a 5:40 mile anytime, even though I might regret it later. Other than that, I took 2 out of the 3 races today. The fields were kind of smaller than they normally are, which was kind of disappointing, but it was also kind of nice because with the weather and the cold, I didn't really want to have to push. I mean, I would have welcomed the competition, but I also didn't want to push myself and then hurt myself in the cold for the rest of the races coming up. I got halves the next 2 weeks, so I didn't want to drain myself either. Just something to think about when I was racing. It was in the back of my mind a little bit. Why turn and burn during the half and the 5K if nobody's pushing you or if your placement's pretty steady? Other than that, overall it was pretty good. Course was marked pretty good. Green arrows. I had a pace car for the half, even though I really didn't need it since I knew the course. I've done the course 3 times. Today would have definitely been the third because I won the half 3 times. Might have did it a 4th time. Can't really be positive on. I'd have to go home and look at my paperwork and results from past years. But I've at least done it 3 years now, and I've done the challenge all 3 years. So I've done the 17 miles, 17 and a half miles all 3 years. I enjoy it. There's good food afterwards usually. Got that Jenny Lee's bread. There's cupcakes. Beer if you're of age. I got my plates for finishing overall. The 2 races. I got my medals and some glasses. Then I got another plate, not just for the 3 races, but for winning the overall challenge of time-wise in all 3 races combined. I don't know how many guys were actually in it this year. Might have been only 2 or 3 of us, but I definitely won that. So I got that. That's about it. 5K had a pretty decent crowd. Offhand, I would say at least 100, maybe 150. Half 50, 60-ish when there's usually like 150, 200 people. The mile, maybe 50, maybe 60. I don't know. I can't really. There was a lot of kids, so I can't really pinpoint offhand. And there was a bunch of adults in the back. The kids were all up front, so I'm not really sure who was all in it and who wasn't. Trying to think what else to tell you. Other than that, talked to Herb a little bit, the timer. Talked to Joella afterwards. A couple of the volunteers and such. Didn't really get to talk to too many people today because it was cold, so I didn't want to stand around and bullshit too much. I did talk to a few people. I guess that's about it. Just got to figure out where to put all the dishes now. I have like 20 plus dishes, maybe even 30 at this point. I just got them stacked because I really don't have a place to display them. Got a couple loaves of bread to put in the freezer. Bread freezes pretty well. Guess that's it. I just got to do a couple more miles today to get my 20 in, since I only got 17-ish plus, maybe 17 and a half. Since it's the weekend, might as well do a couple more and get the 20 mile out of the way so I don't have to do it tomorrow. Plus, being a race, a little bit harder for an effort, might benefit me down the road. Maybe for the half next week. But I do think maybe I trained a little bit too hard this week. I did take a day off. I believe it was, yeah, it took off Wednesday. But I did 2,000 feet gain, hill repeats. Tuesday, took off Wednesday. Thursday, what did I do? Oh, I did fartleks on Ghost Town. Then Friday it was just a couple miles of shakeout run for the race today. Then I biked yesterday, probably 9.5, 10 miles. I'd say it's closer to 10. So I didn't really have the freshest legs either, so that could have negatively affected me a little bit and a half. But either way, that's it for today.